One and a two and a
And just like that, we're into a brand new live stream right here on the Long Box Punk. I'm Chris. I am the Punk, and I am joined today by Michael. Michael, we have been waiting to have this chat for quite some time. Thanks for making time on a Sunday evening to hang out with me here on the show. I'm excited to talk to you.
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to it.
And also, thanks for always being super supportive and sharing the show out and having feedback on social media. I love seeing that others are getting something out of these conversations. So thanks just for being a rad human being too.
Thank you. Oh, no, I love sharing stuff like this out and getting out to everyone.
Sweet. So you know the general, at least starting question. So it is a comic book podcast. So what's your origin story? Like, how did you get into comics? How did you start writing? Where did all this stuff come from for you?
Well, I mean, this is probably gonna be no surprise to anyone. I grew up reading comic books. You know, the very first series I ever really got into was Bone. By Jeff Smith. Discovered it maybe mid to late elementary school because a friend of mine, he wanted it but didn't have any money, so he did the whole like, hey, you know, it'd be really great for you to read here kind of thing at the comic book store, and I was completely sucked into it. A lot of it just being the juxtaposition. I don't know, I'm assuming people are aware of it at least, but the juxtaposition of these cartoony characters, you know, the rat creatures are chasing them, that kind of thing. But especially towards the beginning, you have this like hint there's something darker and more sinister going on in the background. And like, you know, it's always like PG rated, but you know, this kind of like mythic things going, but then you also go back to the cartoony stuff. And like 9, 10, however old I was just sucked into that.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously like followed that through like my childhood. And then of course, when I got older, got super into Brian K. Vaughan. Then a little bit of, you know, like these days, like obviously Nice House on the Lake, World Tree, Beneath the Trees, you know. But honestly, like, so I was writing a lot of short stories and doing a lot of prose writing and all that stuff, but it never really occurred to me that as much as I loved comics and was totally into comics, that would be something for me to do until about 3 years ago. My wife had just had surgery. She's okay, you know, but she had just had surgery, and we had checked out the projector from the library to watch How to Train Your Dragon. And I solo was trying to move our ugly yellow couch in the living room when suddenly, like literally, this has only happened once before to me, this like realization just hit me. There's like, why aren't you writing comics? And I almost dropped the couch. But we set up, watched the movie, and literally the next day I started looking into classes for writing comics.
Wow.
The first short I ever wrote, Patches Rebellion, has recently been published. And now here's my first full-length single issue.
That's wild. So just like as you were gazing, and I love how you keep referring it to as the ugly yellow couch. I personally love ugly furniture. Like I don't know what it is, but I love the ugly like pea soup green from the 70s. That's my jam. And so I love that you have an ugly yellow couch, but it's wild that you weren't even doing anything related to comics when that hit you,
Yeah.
like how did you, after that hit you and you're like, oh yeah, no, we're watching How to Train Your Dragon, and so like, were you watching it at all, or were you just like letting it wash past you? Because I'm one that if I have an idea like that, suddenly that's the only thing I can think about until I start doing something about it.
Um, I kind of at this point have that movie memorized.
Sure.
And this is the original animated version too. This is before the live action one came out.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, you know, I was watching it. It's my wife's favorite movie. So you know, I was watching and enjoying that, but at the same time, like the gears were definitely moving in my head.
Yeah.
And also, like I said, I'd written a bunch of like short fiction prose and gotten a bunch of that published and all that stuff. And I still had like some ideas to, but at that point, I was also kind of even that evening being like, okay, which of these ideas can I turn into comics?
Mm.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So walk me through that process then. Like the next day you look up classes on like how to write comics. Like where do you go from there?
It was CEX Comics Experience. It was completely online. It was just introduction to writing comics, that kind of thing. And honestly, like before I think it was before the classes even started, we went to WonderCon that year. Just because like a previous flight we had been on was so delayed. They're like, here, free plane tickets if you use them the next like however many months.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's go to WonderCon. And that was kind of like where I originally, when we bought the tickets, I was just like, I'm just gonna go as a fan, you know. But at this point I was like, wait, no, I actually kind of want to enter this world as a writer, as a creator. And so which panels I was going to had like completely changed at that point.
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed at WonderCon that was I never really noticed before, is it so in the artist alley, like, or what people were selling and everything, so much of the stuff was either cute things acting vicious, like renegade unicorns, or something else that's cute. Zombie tea cozies. Sure. Why not? Or they were like vicious, scary things acting cute. So either cute things being vicious or vicious things being cute. So you're like Jason and Freddy like hugging it out, like, you know, that kind of.
Yeah.
And so like I remember on the plane ride back being like, okay, just trying to like let's lean into that, because once again I love those juxtapositions. Maybe that's not even a trend and that's just something I imagined, but let's just like, you know, let's lean into that. So I started literally made a list of what are things that are cute. Probably tea cozies were probably on there. But of course the very first thing I wrote down was teddy bear, and that's actually where I got my first comic. And so it was like, you know, how it was sort of, as much as I love Pixar, it was sort of the anti Toy Story. Where it was just like, this is a toy that's like, you dude, 4-year-old kid, stop playing with me. I'm not, you know, we need to rise up against you, kind of thing.
Yeah. So you're only hanging out in Sid's house. You're not at all with Andy.
Yeah. To be honest, even when I was a kid and watched that, I was like, I kind of felt sorry for Sid a little bit. You know, I was like, this is a kid who seems kind of creative and like doing his own thing, and he doesn't know the toys are sentient. Like, you know, it's not his fault, kind of.
Yeah.
You know.
I always just wanted to see more of the baby doll head that had the button for the eye on the like connects leg thing. Like that toy is the one that I'm like, why that? Where did that come from, Sid?
Because it's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely I remember as a kid watching Toy Story for the first time, you know, and I enjoyed it, like, you know, of course I did, but I remember the little part of me was just like, that's where I kind of sat up and got a little like more interested when like the creepy reject toys started appearing. You know, and then part of me, if I'm being completely honest, like the adult me liked that they turned out to be, you know, that they were fine, but the kid part of me was a little disappointed they ended up being cool, or I wanted just evil, if that makes sense. You know.
Yeah, I do remember that too, because I think around when I finally saw that movie. I was a little bit older, and so like I grew up before the Pixar boom. So
Mhm.
all of the Disney movies that I was watching were like Aladdin, which is
Mhm.
always going to be my favorite Disney because Robin Williams is a genius. But like I was watching that, I was watching like Pocahontas, I was watching that era, so not the original and not
Mhm.
the like new. I think it was when animation was still hand drawn animation. Tarzan, I think, was the last one that I really watched, like as a just wonder of the kid. Which there's no reason, by the way, that Tarzan should have a soundtrack that goes as hard as it does. Phil Collins, like, take a step back for a second. That soundtrack is insanely good. But yeah, so with Toy Story, like the dark toys that happened, and like I don't even remember, but I feel like there was one that had a hand on a spring and
I
it was
think so.
pulling itself
Yeah.
forward, like out of the darkness under the bed. Those are the toys that I was like, oh, those are creepy. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
cool. I definitely wanted to play with those instead of just like a cowboy and a dinosaur.
Yeah, no, that I definitely know what you mean. Where it's just like, I mean, and kids like that creepiness.
Yeah.
I mean, to a certain extent, and obviously there are exceptions and everything, but kids like that bit of darkness that is like, I'm safe in the movie theater,
Yep.
but this is kind of creeping me out a little bit.
Yeah.
And obviously Toy Story is very far from being horror, but you still get a little bit of that sense there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that was definitely like a moment where a part of me like sat up and started taking notes.
Right. So, okay. So you've got your like premise
Mhm.
on the juxtaposition of the cute, but also dark and eerie.
Mhm.
Like, what did you do with that? Did you go straight into writing the story about the teddy bear? Like, how did you go from, okay, this is where I want to start, to, okay, now I have a script and I am ready to like match up with an artist and do all of those things?
With Patch's Rebellion, the one with the teddy bear, that one I think I started writing probably coming back from WonderCon,
Mm,
and then I started taking the introduction to writing comics, at which point I went back and made a few edits.
yeah.
And um but yeah, that one was just kind of created as like the class project for that.
Mm,
And then I just kind of, as happens, I stuck it in a drawer because it's like I need to keep making more of these, like
yep.
shorts, that kind of thing. And so it really wasn't until I knew some people who were starting to do a anthology that I was like, wait a minute, I've got a short that I really love. Let's go ahead. It was Blood Coven Moon Magic anthology,
Okay.
which was a Kickstarter, I think early this year,
Mm,
um, and did very well, funded very well. That one, the Patches Rebellion, appears in. But then, not to take a jump forward, but I wrote a whole bunch of shorts, and actually Secret Lives of Demon Hunters was one of those shorts. It just started off as like a little 5-page thing about this couple that happens to hunt demons together, and um, they are having marital problems during that.
yeah.
And kind of immediately my gut reaction, but still I waited until beta readers told me this, was like, yeah, you have more than 5 pages here for story.
Yeah.
And so that honestly like was ended up growing a lot into 24 pages.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about it. For those that don't know, it's on Kickstarter. You're
Mhm.
fully funded,
Yeah.
which is awesome for your first comic campaign solo, with the full floppy. It's got,
Mhm.
I'm going to totally cheat. You've got 67 backers, which is
Yeah.
outstanding. 11 days to go. You're $800 over your initial goal. So walk me through, like, how did the Secret Lives of Demon Hunters come to be? Like, how did you expand it from that 5-page out? And like, are you trying to tell people that you and your wife are actually demon hunters? Like, is that the subtext that is there? Like, tell me about the comic.
I mean, honestly, when I was graduating from college, there was like kind of a joking, but not joking, kind of like, maybe we need money, so maybe we can investigate the forces of evil and somehow make money doing that.
Yeah.
And I ended up working as a public school teacher for a year instead.
I mean, you're still investigating evil in these,
which probably
times.
is more helpful than me going door to door being like, is there any evil here for me to investigate? Expanding on it was like way too easy. Like I said, I had that gut thing where it's like, this is more than a 5-page little thing, where I got to really kind of dig into the lore and the backstory of the characters, and kind of go in both directions, where the heart of the story is still there, but I got to see what they're doing beforehand and what they're doing afterwards. But sort of as far as my wife and I, we run marathons together. And so honestly, where the very seed of the initial 5-page comic came from is I wanted to do, this might sound kind of a little weird because it's a horror comic, but also sort of like most love stories are two people when they first meet, for the most part. Obviously there are exceptions. And I was just, and that's great. And that makes total sense that is where they would start. But I was like, well, what about something where this is a couple who's been together for a while, they're still in love, and we're still kind of investigating their thing, their whole relationship kind of thing. Now, I don't want to make it sound like this is a slice of life, like this isn't like Marriage Story and like that.
Yeah.
But the seed of it kind of came from the fact that we run marathons together. So we go through like kind of very physically intense and also emotionally intense things. We've done 6 marathons together so far. We'll probably do our 7th later this year. Fingers crossed. And so I kind of wanted to explore like a relationship between a couple that is doing something that's like both emotionally intense and very physically intense together. And this is where I ended up.
That's awesome. I like, as a runner, I never made it to marathon distance because my asthma is just like, nope, you're done. But like preparing for all the 5Ks that I did, it is incredibly intense. And also like the door-to-door demon exorcism hunting would be super intense, but also could make a really fun comic too. Put that in your back pocket. That's for future you. Because that would be so fun to have like an unassuming, just gentleman like, hi, I'm here to take care of any evil spirits you have.
Maybe if I ever write a prequel to this, I can like investigate how Ashley and how they start off, and they just start off going to a door. Maybe that's not bad.
So it's interesting to me, a couple things that you've talked about. Obviously we've got the juxtapositions, we've got the couple that's not starting out, that's been together but is still doing these super intense things, and that kind of brings to mind the thought of like how you make a diamond out of coal, of like this super high intense pressure that just keeps pressing and pressing and pressing, and then suddenly, I don't know, nature magic, bam, you have a diamond. So like talk to me about why that direction of having them going through these like high intense physical and emotional moments in demon hunting. Like, why is that was it purely the mirroring of you and your wife with marathons, and so that's like a familiar challenge that you guys go through?
Kind of. I mean, first of all, it's like that's the kind of story I love reading, the very high emotional conflict, even with characters who love each other. I mean, most stories are based on some kind of conflict, like even like the fuzzy little bunny going to the picnic, picture book, the fuzzy bunny's late or missing the president, you know, like there's some kind of conflict. So I was really like pushing to like kind of increase it somewhat. If you know, just to kind of like go along with the parallels of my life and this story, is that like part of the aspect of, not to get into spoilers, but of the story is, should they continue this business? Like, should they continue this lifestyle of hunting demons? And there have definitely been points with me where it's just like, you know, training for a marathon, it's not just exhausting, it's very time consuming.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's you training, like Sundays to be our long running days. And it's not just you're running 18 miles, it's then the exhaustion for the next few days.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, I'm not doing a whole lot of so there have definitely been moments where it's just like, should I keep doing this kind of thing?
Yeah.
And so that kind of did get reflected in the comic. There is a moment where Jordy, the husband, he's under stress and his chest starts to hurt. That has definitely happened to me, where that's how stress appears with me, my chest hurting. And yeah, I had my day job right now. I'm a librarian, is
okay.
I love very much, but I've had day jobs where it's just like, you know, between 2 p.m. to 5, like that chest really getting there. Yeah. So I definitely did put some parallels to real life in here, but obviously not quite as intense as we certainly hope not, as you might find with like demon hunting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe demon hunting isn't as stressful as like working in a corporate setting, because I've similarly had those jobs where it takes everything in me just to get through the afternoon, and like working to 5 o'clock and then working for the weekend, and just to not have to deal with it. But then, you know, you got Friday night where you're de-stressing from the week, and then you have Saturday where you're like, okay, I think I can be human and like enjoy living. And then Sunday, it's like, oh, another great day before I go back to work tomorrow. Yeah. And suddenly it's like the dread of Monday. So you really only get that sweet spot of like 14 hours on Saturday. And that's all you get. And getting out of that to getting to a job that isn't that like self-destructive is really wonderful, and like more people should do that for themselves. You know, for what that's worth, welcome to the self-help section of the show. Is I just wasn't like, I wasn't built for corporate. No. And every corporate job that I had was just soul sucking and awful, and getting out of that and working at I was full-time employee number 3 at my company, has been the best like career move I've ever made. The only thing that could have been better was going to work for myself. And that's just not anywhere that I'm at yet. So that's not going to happen right now.
Well, lucky number 3.
But yeah, lucky number 3. And like, it sucks during the summer because I'm in a warehouse. We don't have AC, but it's fine because maybe I'll lose some weight this summer. You know, I'll just sweat everything out. So
and also just like, well, kind of, I don't know if you picked up on this, but I said that like the whole like it striking me that I should start writing comics, and I said that that's like the second time that's happened to me. The first time was, dude, you need to become a librarian. And yeah, there are days, because like working at a library, I'm not trying to make it sound like it's like, you know, super tough or like, you know, but there are days like where, you know, someone ODs in the bathroom, like, you know, that kind of thing, where it does get probably more intense than a lot of people expect. But the day by day doing something you love makes such a difference, as opposed to being crammed in that cubicle where that's not even my cubicle. It's a cubicle I share with someone else.
Yep.
I mean, they were nice, but still it's just like, yep, this is our shared cubicle.
Yeah. I would love to just show up and sit and be left alone. But like, then you show up too. And now there's no space between us, and you want to just talk to me. And I really just want to put my head down and work. So can we just, no? Okay.
Someday, if I work real hard, I'll get my own cubicle. Fingers crossed.
There you go. See, I gave up the cubicle for an entire warehouse. Like that
Yeah.
is my
There you go.
domain.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, all this is mine. And then I remember, oh God, all of this is mine.
Yeah, I mean, the first like 4 years I was a librarian, I didn't even have my own desk. Like I had like but even that was just I don't care
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. You know, I sure I'll share my desk with other people. This job is just so much better.
Yeah. So does your library have like a kick-ass trade paperback section like mine does?
Yep, and we also have Hoopla.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
If
Hoopla's
I'm
the best.
assuming people listening to this, watching this, love comics. So if you don't already, check out Hoopla because they've got an amazing selection.
It really is. Like I have Hoopla on my iPad, and I prefer physical comics because there's something about the paper and the smell of comics. But when you're like, oh, I'll just read a comic before bed, you don't want to have the light on or have to wear a headlamp, which I've done. Like, you don't want to do all that. You just want to be able to like read it. So if you have Hoopla on your tablet, like I do, you just pull it up and you can read a digital comic, and then you're like, okay, I'm done. And you don't have to worry about saving your page if you're halfway through a trade or something. Like, it remembers for you. So yeah, I'm a big fan of libraries in general, because ours also has like a separate building for a maker space where we've got
cool.
like
That's
3D
awesome.
printers, button makers, like huge vinyl printers, several Cricuts set up. They've even got like a photography studio in there that you can borrow, rent time, whatever, and it's like all super free. All you need is your library card. So yeah, big fan of libraries because that's where you can find stuff that you never knew existed. And if you spend enough time in a library, you definitely will see some of the more stressful things that can happen, of some of the riffraff that come in because it's a free space that you can get away from the weather. And yeah, I've seen all of it, and I've had conversations about all of it. So
and for the record, 94% of my customers, like I absolutely love. They're wonderful people. Just every once in a while you've got someone walk in who's like
yeah, like okay, please just go to the computers and like sit in the corner. I don't just do the thing. So like, okay, so you've got your story, you started scripting it. How did you find your artist? Like, how did you start going from I have a script to I want to be able to have a full blown comic out of this?
So once I had the script, I started like looking for artists from like a variety of different places, like Instagram, just social media in general. I had a nice fun list going, and amazingly the first person I reached out to said yes, and they were very enthusiastic about it. However, twist to that, we were this close to the finish line, getting really close to it when I found out they were using AI. And so I had to cancel that version completely. It was Scott Snyder of all people, who, because I'm in his class, Black Jacket or Best Jacket. He was taking a look at it and he said, "Oh, these are great. Are you sure she's not using AI?" I'm like, I was assuming she wasn't. And I had even asked, done the whole like, but no, turned out they were. This little fun thing by demo, the no AI thing. I picked that up at the Baltimore Comic-Con. Like maybe like a little bit after this whole fiasco. And they were just handing them out. It's like, yes, I will take one of these. Thank you very much. But I licked my wounds, took a few months off or a couple months off just to like kind of work on other things.
Yeah.
And then was like, no, I still love this comic. I still want to see this get made. And so Jack, who he actually originally, I knew him because he illustrated Patch's Rebellion, the teddy bear story.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, you did such an awesome job with that. You know, are you interested in this at all? And he was, obviously, because he illustrated this, and
Yeah.
here we are.
Nice.
So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good on you for sticking to your guns and shutting down the AI thing.
Yeah, no.
Like I understand the allure of using it, but I feel like that draw or that desire to use it disappears once you know 1% of the destruction that AI is doing. I'm like one of the few actually in my real life circles that is like vehemently against it. And so I'm constantly having this conversation with people because they just don't know. They're like, oh no, it was super, like it did what I wanted it to, and it gave me the thing. And I'm like, well, yeah, it did. But where do you think it knew how to do that? Like it stole it from other people. And all of the the data centers are sucking out all of our natural resources, and they're not paying state taxes, by the way, because your data is the product. Like it's not a physical product that it's producing, so it's not taxed like a store would be, as if you were making books in a print shop. Like they're not taxed the same, so they're even taking your tax dollars away. Like there's just too many. And not to mention the harm that it's doing, like scraping other artists' work and then trying to mash it into something that it thinks you want and regurgitating it back. Like there's a reason it's called AI slop. So I like mad props for shutting that down, even though it was a comic that you wanted to see made. Like clearly it worked out for the best because the work that I've seen, the preview pages, these like look fantastic. I love that it's all in like the grayscale monochrome. I have actually, this is like the third time that this has come up, which means I need to take note and pay attention. Like maybe I should write a grayscale story because there's something about black and white or grayscale monochromatic comics that just is, I don't know, it's alluring to me. I just think it like you don't have to have color to have a really kick-ass comic.
Oh no, I love black and white. Maybe it's because I grew up reading Bone. I don't know. But it was most of my comics, honestly, when I picture the illustrations, I do mostly picture them in black and white. Another short I did, The Witch of Hollowed Creek, was in color, which is great. She did a fantastic job with that. But it was also kind of a little startling to see, oh yeah, this is going to be in color. Like it just not really, because so much of like when I picture my comics, I just picture them in black and white. So, I mean, obviously, someday I'll be doing like comics that are in color, but right now it's just in my brain. That black and white is just always like the image for me.
And so do you have like a like mental checklist of things that I mean, not to like get super ahead of your current, like, this is my first comic, but like, do you have a list of, I would love to do this kind of comic, I would love to do this kind of story? Like, do you have that type of thing mentally?
Absolutely. And it's not mentally. It's literally written down. My life is very based on lists of
perfect. I knew we would get along.
If you can see the inside my brain, it's like a clothes dryer with a lot of very colorful clothes going very fast. So I, even at a like young age, meaning maybe around middle school, I just started keeping lists. This is what I need to do, kind of thing. So, but yeah, no, I definitely have a list of like upcoming projects that I really want to work on. And it's also like being realistic. I know it's probably not gonna be in this order, but this is what I've got going for me right now. And we'll see what I definitely do have other scripts written and other plans being made.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, I feel like that's just the like state of being a comic creator is, yes, I have this, but like I have been done with the script for X months or years sometimes, and it's just now that we found the right team and we're making it happen. So yeah, I it always staggers me though hearing about some creators how far ahead they're working, of like, oh yeah, this book that I'm currently writing isn't going to come out until 2029. Like I know the schedule of with my publisher and all the things, and I'm just like, how in the hell? I don't know what's coming out in January, like let alone 2 years from. That's insane.
Yeah.
But then the more projects that I start working on simultaneously, the more that I'm like, oh, I do need more lead time on this.
Yeah.
That's how this happens. Great.
Yeah, no, it takes a while. Like, I mean, even with this, like that initial idea was a couple of years ago at this point.
Yeah.
And this is just one issue. And of course I did have a giant setback in there.
Sure.
So it probably would have been a lot shorter, honestly, now I think about it, if it weren't for that.
So what's like, is this a one shot? Are you planning on expanding it more and telling more a story?
This is a one shot, beginning, middle, and end. So I mean, obviously I know a lot of people like to find new series and stuff, but also there's no homework you need to do. There's no like what you're holding in your hand. This is pretty much it. Do I ever want to possibly return to these characters? Sure. I love them. I think they're great. But I also, as we're talking about, I have like so much other stuff I want to be working on as well.
Yeah.
I am currently working, or I have written a series. And so we'll see where that goes.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe someday I will return to Ashley and Jordy when they're just going door to door knocking to see if anyone has any evil lurking about.
Got any ghosts? I mean, it's the like never say never for a reason.
Yeah.
Oh
no, I am definitely not gonna be like, oh no, I would never write more of like, yeah, no. Possibly, we'll see.
Yeah, that's great. So I did want to touch too on you've got some of your like inspirations and influences outside of Bone and Calvin Hobbes, that you've got, like you listed Stephen Graham Jones, who I freaking love. You listed Beowulf, which is feels like a deep cut to me, even though it's like a master class in storytelling and suspense. I don't feel like enough people ever list that as like an influence. You had Saga, which is fantastic, right? Like I was super late to the Saga bandwagon. It wasn't until actually I used to bid on like comic book auction lots of like, here's 7 graphic novels. And I didn't even read it until the first compendium was in one of those lots. And I was bidding on the lot for another book, but I was like, I mean, if I get the Saga compendium out of it, okay. And so then I sat down and read it, and I like cranked through the first 50 issues or whatever is in that in like 3 days. And I was like, God, this is so good. Where have I been? And so like, I love seeing that that's on there. I know you mentioned Brian K. Vaughan earlier. But then you listed some movies that you've been watching, and admittedly, a lot of the movies that you had on your list, I was like, oh, we can talk about movies. And then I read your list and I was like, I haven't seen any of these except for Dungeons and Dragons. But you had Hundreds of Beavers?
You haven't seen Hundreds of Beavers?
What is that?
Okay, Hundreds of Beavers is on my short list of movies that are unlike anything else you've ever seen. Like, at least watch the trailer for it. It is its own animal. I've seen it a few times now, and it's just brilliant. I don't know if I should describe it or just everyone.
You can leave it at that.
Yeah, just everyone out there, just at least watch the trailer. I know it's on Canopy. And it's probably on a few other streaming services too.
Sweet. Yeah, because I'm definitely gonna look it up. I love finding movies that are out there like that. I recently watched a movie called Be My Cat, a movie for Anne. Where
I don't
this
know those.
So it's this Russian guy who has written a movie, and he wants Anne Hathaway to be the cat in his movie, and it's super like deranged, disturbing, like really uncomfortable stalkery level stuff that he's doing throughout the movie. And I'll
Is
leave
this a
it.
documentary or
It feels like it could be.
okay?
And like yeah, and there's a couple movies that I've watched recently that I honestly didn't know if it was like did this really happen? What the hell is this is really unnerving. And it's because it's constantly, that's one of those movies that's on the like list of most disturbing movies that are out there, because I have something broken and dark inside of me that I want to watch those movies. And I watched that one and I was like, oh, this is why that's on there, because there's probably actually people out there that are this just like unhinged. And it gets real weird and real dark, and it's not always the best thing ever, but you know, it for what it is, it was definitely one of the more wild movies that I've watched in recent memory. That and the Poughkeepsie tapes, that's just, it's like messed. That's just disturbing.
Wait, why does that sound familiar?
It's a handful of years. It's another one that's like, I continually was questioning myself, like, is this real? Is this an actual document? Like, they did so good at nailing the documentary aesthetic that it was like, oh my God, is it like, I literally watched all of the credits to see if there were like names played by, you know, like a cast listing or something, or if it was just going to have like, our thanks to the city of Poughkeepsie for, you know, allowing us access to their files. And it was just like, I mean, even in the credits, if you got up and left right away, you wouldn't actually see the credits that you're like, okay, all right, no, it was a movie. Because that's another one thing. It's super dark. It's super like, if you have any sort of violent triggers, don't watch it, because there's a reason it's on the lists for most disturbing movies, and it earns that title.
One that I definitely want to look that up. One that you might be interested in, although I don't know where you could watch this. I got it out of my library. So once again, advertisement for library, but I don't know if I don't, at least it's not any streaming services I have, but it's called Wolf House. That's at least the English translation of the title.
Okay.
It's it's an animated art house Chilean horror film.
Sweet.
Where it is also that and Hundreds of Beavers, very different from each other. But those are both on my list of things that are unlike anything else I've ever seen.
Okay.
Where essentially it's animated, but when it starts off, the camera goes into up through a door up to a wall, and they're animating it on the wall. At least that's my best understanding of what's happening. So rather than like on paper or like computer like that, they're like kind of using chalk. And it is inspired by true events that happened with Nazis who fled to South America.
Yep.
And it's been years since I watched it, but like started basically a cult from what I understand.
Wow.
But it's sort of also like a very dark retelling of The Three Little Pigs and various different like possibly Goldilocks is in there too. Like if I hadn't read the backstory, I wouldn't have picked up like the historical aspects of it, but it's surreal. It is dark. It plays into the uncanny valley because it's like towards the beginning, they're just like animating like with chalk on the wall. But then things start to get 3D, like this like one pig that's on the wall like moves its hoof and like an actual like ball rolls kind of thing. And eventually they come out and they're sort of made of like kind of puppets like out of tape that kind of thing.
Okay.
It is one of the most darkly beautiful things I've ever seen.
Sweet.
I during COVID, my coworkers and I would have this thing where we watch watch or read things of a certain theme like every week. So it'd be like horror or science fiction. One week it was Keanu Reeves. Just watch something.
Hell yeah, it was.
And for whatever reason, I brought this up, and like I put in a link to the trailer, and just the chat was just filled with nope, no, not watching this, no kind of thing. Like it's like, yeah, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, that's when you realize like, oh, we're not on the same level. Great.
But it's like I love it because it's so darkly beautiful. Like once again, we're back to that juxtaposition.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but I can also see like, and this is no shade to my coworkers or like that. But how like you could watch and be like, I don't see the beauty in this, Mike. Like this is just no.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that moment in American Beauty where the guy is just filming the plastic bag, like blowing in the wind. He's like, it's so beautiful. And at least I watching was like, it's a plastic bag, bro. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about?
And I'm over here looking at the pig made out of tape, being like, it's so beautiful, you know.
Yeah. Well, now I definitely want to watch that. Sweet. But yeah, I like having, it felt like there was a wide range of influences that were there between the modern and classic literature. And like you had a couple books on writing that were in there as well. And it just was like, it kind of brought to mind how I feel like, yes, I grew up reading comics. X-Men are forever like my cornerstone. When I think comics, I think X-Men, and everything is in that framing. And I could do an entire monologue and have on like the importance of that series on me. But it's not just X-Men, right? Like it's Ninja Turtle comics. It's slice of life comics. It's books like Persepolis that are like very stark black and white. It's all of those things that, you know, come together. And it's not just comic books, because I read regular prose novels, and Stephen Graham Jones is fantastic. And he's also an Indigenous author, which is really awesome that, you know, hearing through the Native perspective, what horror is like is super rad, because I'm also like Indigenous. So I've, you know, I want to seek out more of those stories. And so it like, I pull influences from everywhere, and from just people telling me stories about their lives. It's like, oh, I wonder if you took that and you just kind of put it in a blender and poured it out in this different setting, what would that look like? And so like, it's just one of those, it feels like another natural state of creators where, yes, like I'm influenced by comics and comic creators because I'm creating comics, but I'm also influenced by novelists and musicians and poets and actors and screenwriters and, you know, like florists and like whatever it is, because if I'm in the right mood, I could see something and be like, huh, that's a really pretty bouquet. What if everything like what is, and you can tease out anything if you're in the right creative mindset. So like, do you find times at the library when you're surrounded by all of this source material for inspiration that there's like, do you regularly turn to books to pick up when you're like, you know what, I'm feeling kind of in a dry spot creatively? Or like, what does that look like to get back on the creative horse, as it were?
I mean, I'm constantly reading and watching stuff and like kind of looking for the next new thing for me. I mean, sometimes just like working in the library, it can be overwhelming because it's just like,
there's so much.
I want to read this thing now. I want to read this thing now. I want to watch this thing now. Like, you know, I'm not much of a gamer, but I wish I was, so I could play this. Like, you know, so it's just, it is so overwhelming. And I can definitely see it with some people. There is that sort of almost temptation, like, or you almost kind of become stagnant with trying new things or reading new things. Because like there's so much out there. What if I pick something that just sucks? And then I wasted those hours of my life of going and reading something that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I totally encourage people to like read, check out new things, and take chances on new genres. Like even genres that you're like, oh no, I'd never be into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm also giving that advice to myself right now as well.
Right. Yeah, I have found, speaking of like checking new genres out, I've started recently listening to like autobiographical books or like biographies on people. And I forever was like, I don't want to read about real life people. Like, that's dumb. Give me something creative. Like, I want to hear the fantastical thing in space. I don't want to hear about this but then the last 3 books that I've read are all like biographies of other people, or like let's examine the punk scene in Boston and how that came to be. And so it's not specifically one person. It's just like the correlation of that happening with the Red Sox Yankees rivalry of in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And it was just fascinating to read. And I was like, oh God, does this mean I'm getting old? Like, is this how it starts? Because it like, I read those things and I'm like, this is really fascinating. And I want to learn more about it. And like, my wife and I have been to Disney a couple times. And this last time that we went, I just couldn't help but just feel inspired by the legacy that Walt left. And like all of this stuff spiraled in some way directly from his brain. What the hell kind of person was he? Like, that's it. Just, I was incredibly inspired by going to Disney World. And so I was like, I need to learn more about Walt Disney as a human being. And so I found like the most comprehensive biography, and I do audiobooks because prose I read, it takes me so long to read a book that if I were only reading a prose novel, I would read 2 novels a year. Audiobooks I can listen to, like, I drive 50 minutes for work one way. So I can listen to an audiobook a week. So suddenly I'm listening to like 50 audiobooks a year and reading still 2 novels a year. And I don't even count the comics and trades anymore because it's too many. But I found one that was like 45 hours long, and I listened to that, and it went from like childhood all the way through everything. And it was fascinating to learn, like, one of arguably the most well-known creative people ever in America's history, to hear like what he went through to get there and how he wasn't always the one creating things. And like, it didn't, raise him up on a pedestal, and it didn't vilify him either. Cause I don't like those where it's like, oh, you like that person? Let me shit all over them and tell you how terrible of a human being they were.
Yeah, like, documentaries that just seem to go this direction or that direction to extremes. You got to be like, okay.
Yeah, like you can tell me they weren't always the shiniest businessman, but like I'm seeking out this book because there's something about that person that I admire. So like, sure, I'll take the bad, but like, I also want to hear the good. Can we focus on the good too, please? Or like, just tell people up front, like, hey, we don't think this person was awesome, and we're going to tell you 17 reasons why in the next 74 chapters. Like, okay, cool. I'm not going to check that book out.
So it's like a 17 chapter long book on Walt Disney, 17 reasons. And so like one reason for each chapter why Walt Disney saw,
Yeah, I'm like,
I'm sure there would be an audience.
There would be, and like, that's sad to me, because I'm the person that like, there's so much negativity everywhere you look of everything, right? Not just like media critiques, although a great example is Supergirl. We haven't seen it yet, but like the critics and the movie review sites all said that it was garbage. And then fans of the character and fans of the comics went and saw it, and they're like, are you kidding? This is so much fun. Like, this is a great representation of the character on the screen.
And
And
fans of the character can often be so much more like vicious
oh
if
yeah.
they get it wrong
Oh yeah.
than just the average critic. Yeah, that I haven't seen it yet either. They're like 11 movies still going forward. It's now July. There are like 11 movies coming out in theaters I want to see. So I might make it to that one. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like people seemed so eager to criticize that one. You know, like I have my own theories why, but
Yep.
but yeah, like it just seemed like very overly eager to like find fault with that
Yeah.
one. And I definitely agree with the whole, like one thing I definitely agree with the whole like just not liking the constant negativity is with like YouTube, in which case you might be like, well, what YouTube do you watch, Michael? you don't like that. But yeah, like as much as I love movies, the like even if it's a movie I don't like I already know that whatever blank movie I don't like, that I'm not going to care for. I don't need to watch a 2-hour YouTube thing of someone just making fun of it. That's going to, even if I agree with them, that's going to make me feel like kind of icky afterwards.
Yep.
So like I there are a few people on YouTube who I do like, who for the most part, with some exceptions, at least try to find something good to say. You know?
And I've been a part of different like comic reviewing groups, or groups on social media or group chats or whatever, and I've heard other people be like, I don't even know how I'm going to get through this review because it was so bad. I'm like, then don't talk about it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
you're not the person to review it if all you have to say about it is like,
mm-hmm.
I've read a lot of comics, okay? Like a lot, and from every end, from zines up to the most expensive, ridiculous, overproduced book that's ever been made. And I'm not going to name names, but it might have been a bad idea to make them. And it just like, there's, even if you don't like something, and even if I don't like a comic, I still am going to be able to find something that I liked.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's the thing. Well, I think a lot of people, they go into like comics, movies, TV shows, books, whatever, looking for reasons. And that's how they enjoy it. For some reason or another, that's just the enjoyment they get from it. Which is like, yeah. And for the most part, like, okay, that's what makes you happy kind of thing, even though it can be a little annoying, but I do try to tend to edge towards like, if it makes you happy kind of thing.
Right.
I try to find at least something. There are some exceptions to things from like,
sure,
you guys needed to go back to like the basic foundation of storytelling for this one. And then I do try to ask myself, were you the target audience for this? What was this really made for you? And to be honest, I feel like I am more, it was fine with things that I'm not the target audience for, whereas I'm more judgmental, or I could potentially be more judgmental if I definitely was the target audience.
Yeah.
The live action Little Mermaid, like I was not the target audience for that at all. But right. I saw it with somebody who is like bullseye target audience for this, who I love very much. And so I enjoyed it with like osmosis in the theater.
Yeah.
Because she was enjoying it so much.
Yep.
And so there's also that, like, just being aware, like, this wasn't made for you kind of thing.
Yeah. That anybody that's watched my show in any capacity at all has probably heard me say the quote from Charles Soule that I love. That is like, not everything is for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so recognizing, or being able to recognize, like, this isn't for me. Okay. Like, that doesn't mean that it's trash, because you might not be the audience for it, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a target audience for it. I was actually at the Five Star Comic Con last year, the one that I'm now on staff with, and I was sitting in on a panel about diversity in comics, and the guy that was paneling it is African. He's a black guy, and he was talking about like all of the representation. There's a specific show or movie that he called out, and he was like, it's not for me. I don't need to see that, but my daughter needed to see a black heroine wearing a cape. Like she needed that. So if you're not a black daughter, it's probably not for you. And you might not understand it, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong, because she needed to see that. And as her dad, I'm going to champion that all the time, even though personally I didn't like it, but like she did, and it means a lot to her. So okay, great. I'm going to celebrate that. And it was one of those things that stuck with me. I couldn't tell you really anything from any of the other panels. But that to me made whatever the damn movie was stick, of like, oh, that makes total sense. I understand that now. That's a framing that's got teeth that, it's going to stick with me.
Yeah. And like, I mean, and especially since, thank God we are living in a age where there is more variety of story and more diversity in these stories. And I think that people do need to take a step back, take a deep breath, and be like, okay, not everything needs to be for you. Like pretty much, I absolutely agree with that quote, especially as a librarian. I agree with that quote. Like, I mean, that's something that I've kind of wanted to say when like people get upset about what's going on, what we have in the teen section or the children's section. It's like, well, not everything in the children's section is for all children. Not everything in the adult section is for all adults. I mean, and I know that there is that type of, and of course, like a lot of the people on YouTube, they're doing it. They might have honestly liked that thing, but they know they'll get more views, more clicks, more money. But also there's like that type of person who just really wants everything to be the thing they were used to when they were growing up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. As a big pro wrestling fan, I was having this conversation yesterday with a friend that we're the same age. She grew up watching it, loved it. Was even involved in like the local indie scene. She dated a guy that was doing the local shows a lot. And she was like, I just haven't watched it in years because I don't want to be disappointed by it. And I said, well, if all you want from it is to be what it was when the Attitude Era was happening, like late 90s, early 2000s. And she was like, I mean, yeah. I said, then don't watch it, because it's not that. It's different. And if you want to hold on to that like nostalgic feel of it, absolutely do that and keep that. Like I never should have gone back and rewatched the Thundercats cartoon, because as a kid I loved it and it was the best. And as an adult I was like, oh my gosh, why is everything so cheesy? Like Snarf makes me want to just ram my head into the wall. He's the worst. But as a kid, I was like, oh, I love it. And so I was like, okay, I'll just stick to the comic books, because the comics are still really freaking good. And so I love seeing the resurgence of all of those, 80s franchises that are now repopulating. Like the Silverhawks are back in comic books. Like that's insane.
I should definitely check out the Thundercats comics, because I was all about that when I was a kid. But like I remember when Disney Plus first came, like everyone I knew was just sort of like, oh, I can't wait to rewatch da show. And I'm like, I am terrified to go back. Like, and I honestly didn't do it that much, because it's like, there's no way that blank whatever is going to be nearly as badass and awesome. I mean, especially since, it was badass and awesome when I was 7, but now as an adult, like, I'll get that little bit of a nostalgia high, but it might also be like, yeah, I kind of liked it better the way I remembered it being.
Yeah. The one that stood out for me that like held its grounding of still being awesome is Gargoyles.
I was about to just say, like, that was one exception. I did rewatch some of Gargoyles. And it was like, wow, this this really does kind of hold its ground
Yeah.
surprisingly well. Yeah.
Yeah. And the comics of the gargoyles
Mhm.
that are all coming out, and even the like reissue of the 90s comic books that they were making alongside of the cartoon, like all of it still is fantastic. So
Mhm.
that's one franchise that I mean, obviously X-Men is still just like ridiculously good, but I know I'm biased, so I don't even bring it up because I know everyone is like, oh yeah, he's gonna go into X-Men. Yeah, I am, because I do. It's just the best. But aside from X-Men, like Gargoyles is rock solid. Nah, pun intended, because they're gargoyle. Okay, I'll see myself out. The one other thing that I wanted to mention or talk about is you have an interesting enjoyment that you list on your website, and I love that you've got pictures of like, this is my workstation, and it's your corner of your laptop and your orange cat and your ugly yellow couch, and you've got your other cat, and then you're like, oh, and here's my hot sauce collection.
Yeah, my hot
And
sauce collection.
I was like,
But by the way, that couch came from my parents. So mom and dad, if you're listening to this, it's a beautiful couch. Thank you.
it's
I
the
really,
best.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It is the best. I love it. But yeah,
But I want to tell you, because we have a really diverse international market right close to home, and so anytime I talk to anybody like from overseas, different countries, I always ask them off air, usually mainly for my wife, like, hey, what's your favorite snack? And then I go to Jungle Gyms and I try and find it, and I've found like 70% of what other people have told me about. But I really got into hot sauce, and they have like 3 aisles of just hot sauces.
Oh wow.
And one that I found and fell in love with, it's a Serrano and mango hot sauce. It's called Knowles.
That sounds like it's right up my alley.
And it's the perfect amount of like spicy and sweet. It's got a little bit of the sweet up front, and then it finishes with the heat. And it's just got that really satisfying, like, oh yeah, like I put this on my salad. I don't use dressing. I use hot sauce, specifically Knowles hot sauce. And
I need to level up.
It gets, I mean, get onto my level, my dude. But yeah, so that's, I'm just a big fan. I don't have any idea where it comes from. I was honestly just drawn to it because it's got the sugar skull on the front, and I freaking love sugar skulls. Kansas City, Missouri. Oh, Kansas City, Kansas. But it's not like a typical Kansas City barbecue sauce. It's completely different. I did not know it was from Kansas. That's insane. Anyway, yeah, look up Knowles hot sauce. I'm not at all sponsored, but if they want to sponsor me, they totally can. And I'll talk about it every stream because I love it.
No, I love hot sauce that has its own personality. Like, if that makes sense. Like, I like spicy food in general. So it's like, okay, if it makes it spicy, there's more love, that kind of thing. But I love things that has its own like flavor, like kind of what you're describing there was totally what I go for.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really like what is it, torchbearer sauce.
Okay.
The smoky horseradish, which we do brew at the zoo. My wife and I have been there a couple times in Baltimore, and they have a booth, which of course they have like all their hot sauces from least spicy to spiciest kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I had to start at least spicy and work my way up. Yeah. This has never happened before. I couldn't talk. Like I could breathe and everything, but I was like, I think I was like third to the end, and I turned my wife to say, it's like, I could not talk. And so we walked away. And she's like, are you okay? And I kept like moving my lips.
Yeah.
And she was like, you like for 45 seconds. Like it wasn't even, I don't even know if it's a spice or just some combination or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like that. I feel like my wife lost an opportunity where she should have just been like, tell me your opinions of Fast and the Furious right now. Like, why don't you? Okay, you have 45 seconds. So,
yeah.
But like,
so she bought like every bottle of it and just here, why don't you have some hot sauce, babe? I would really love it as I watch this movie.
But yeah, it eventually passed. But yeah, like maybe there's something about them that like gets away my You know, talk. You know, I keep eating it though, so sure.
I mean, yeah, that's yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah. I've been putting Frank's Red Hot on popcorn since like, I think middle school. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Okay. I see. I'll bring my own. So my dad used to teach inside of jails. He would teach the like life preparedness class, preparing the convicts who are about to, make bail or coming up to the end of their sentences of like, hey, you're about to go back into the real world. And whether you've been in here for a year or 10 years, it's going to be different than
really
when
cool
you went in. And so like because he started his career as a teacher, moved into administration, was a principal, all the things. And the like college that runs those classes inside the prison system were like, hey, we want to bring you in just to teach like a life skills type of class. But the one of the first things that my dad said after like teaching it for a month was everybody came in with a bottle of hot sauce. And like they all had their hot sauce on their desk. And he said, eventually I couldn't help myself. And he was like, I asked the security guard to leave the room. I wanted to talk to the guys just between us. And so the security guard was like, I'm not really supposed to, but I'm going to stand here and watch through the window, make sure nothing. And my dad was like, it's just go. Like, it's fine. These guys are not going to do anything to me. I'm 65. Like, what are they going to accomplish by doing anything to me? And so security guard left out and he was like, I didn't want to ask in front of security, but like, why does everybody have hot sauce? What is the deal? And they all started chuckling. And the one guy was like, listen, if you've got a bottle of hot sauce, the food in the commissary is dog shit. But if you have hot sauce, you can make it edible. And so if you've got your hot sauce, no one like that's the thing that you're allowed to have that makes this place a little bit more bearable.
That's awesome. And
my dad was like, so why doesn't everybody have a bottle? Like not all of you have a bottle. And one of the guys that didn't, he was like, it's a affordability thing. Like we just haven't been able. So then my dad, the next time he went in, brought 7 bottles of hot sauce to give to all of the guys that didn't have a bottle. But ever since then, I just think about like, just that, like, if you ever think, oh, things are tough and this whatever isn't good, like there's prisoners that are carrying around a bottle of hot sauce to make the food that they have to eat day in and day out, 3 meals a day, edible by just dousing it in hot sauce. And so every time I see that, I remember that story. And like, I went in and did some mock interviews with them. And I was like, in another alternate universe, like I would have been a teacher or something like inside the prison system. Cause it was eye-opening. And it was also like really fascinating of like, oh, just a couple bad decisions and I could have been in here. Like we're not that different. And the demonization that inmates get when they come. This is a really weird tangent that we found ourselves on.
No, I'm agreeing with you. Absolutely.
It's just not like I've gotten involved here locally. There used to be a coffee shop that gave work to convicts that have gotten out. They did their time, they went through the process, and they come out and they need to get a job, and no one wants to hire an ex-convict. And so they started a nonprofit, they started a coffee shop, and they only hired ex-convicts and to like give them a work experience, give them a job that was giving them steady money, keeping them out of the bad routines that got them into jail in many instances. And like, that was my spot. I loved going there on the weekends. I would get my coffee. They knew me by name. I had my basically designated room upstairs, and I would just go up there and write and, interact with them. And it was just like, it was getting out of my comfort zone and out of the genre of life that I was constantly living in, of everything's safe and everything's wonderful, to like, I don't know what they did to get into jail. And I honestly don't care because like, they're here and they're making a cool cup of coffee in a really cool coffee shop, and they're just humans too. Like,
Yep.
sure, there's exceptions of like
Mhm.
totally insane people, but like,
Yeah, and I think what you're saying, like, I think that is one stigma that like so many people, whether they mean to or not. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt,
no,
but
you're good.
they think of people in jail. They think of them as all being like Hannibal Lecter,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
And yes, there are just horrible whatever, but vast majority are not like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Wrong place,
and
right time. And it
I've,
just,
you know, th- that is like a opinion that's only been solidified working at the library.
mm, yeah.
Yeah, just like, yeah. And I think good for your dad, because I feel like that is what prison should ultimately do for people who, when they are coming out.
Yeah. Yeah. It needs, the system needs to do a better job of preparing them to be successful when they get out, instead of just, well, can't stay here anymore. Go. Like, I know we've given you your daily schedule and your
Yeah.
daily rations and your daily
Mhm.
food and all of those things for you. And we've handled all of it for the past however long. Now you got to figure out all of it on your own. We're not going to support that. We're not going to help you because our job is in here and now you're out there. So bye. Have fun. Like, it's no wonder that so many end up back in prison. It's just like, I don't know. I could talk about this apparently for a lot longer than I expected. But that's officially the end of my notes. Now that we've talked about hot sauce, Michael, I'm not done with you yet. We're gonna do two more things. The first is we're gonna hit that pose, because what's a long box punk stream without the creator pose at the end? I'll use that as the YouTube thumbnail once I get my shortcut. Why am I struggling? Okay, there we go.
Am I allowed to hold up my book?
You can do
Or
whatever
is
you
that
want.
too,
Yeah.
is that
No,
too
do it.
close?
Do it. And I'll even give a, all right, in 3, 2, 1. Perfect. The other thing is that which I warned you about before we started. And I love doing this show because I get to talk to people that are sometimes all over the globe. We all have different life experiences, all different backgrounds, and yet we all share the similarity of creating and needing to create and make specifically comics. So to lean into that variety of experiences, I always like to shut up at the end of my show and just turn the floor over. So if there's anything that you want to talk about, could be a sales pitch for your book, like, hey, go back to the Kickstarter that's linked in the episode description. It could be like, if I was teaching a prison class, this is what I want to teach. I don't care about the content. It's whatever you want people to hear from you. So Michael, take it away.
Well, basically, like, I mean, I already talked about the book. So I think that one thing that, like, this is going to come off as being cheesy, so I apologize, but this might just be my own opinion, but I think people more and more with comics and movies and just entertainment in general, they're starting to get tired of things that are being made clearly by committee, that are clearly being made like kind of mass produced. They want things where it is clear that there is an artist behind it. And so basically the thing I want to say is, for anyone out there who is aspiring like me, who is like working on their own stories or stuff like that, try to be yourself as much as possible. And that is harder than it sounds, because as much as I know it's cheesy to be like, be yourself kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to like really discover yourself. But keep working at it. If you're working on a space saga, make a space saga that only you could write. So that's my message.
Love it. It is one of the first pieces of advice I ever got when I started thinking about making comics, was write what you know.
Yep.
Because only you know it. And it was just like, is that simple? And Travis B. Hill is the one that was like, yeah, dude, it's that simple.
But like, it is so hard to, and this is going to make me sound very middle school journally, but it's like, on one hand, we're always told be yourself, but on the other hand, we are just bombarded by people, many of them well-meaning people, who are kind of not wanting you to be yourself that much. If that makes sense. So I feel like a lot of times you're in your 30s, possibly even 40s, before you even are like, oh, this is who I am, kind of thing.
Yeah. personally have had like 3 different self-identity renaissances of like, oh, this is who I am. Cool. I'm the loud, obnoxious guy and I'm going to be in your face and I don't give a crap. And like, that was me high school and through a lot of college. And then in college, it wasn't because of I had the college experience, because I really didn't. I found out I was going to be a dad at 19. So I was like, oh, all right. This is different. And so, but like I found then, oh, okay, well, this is, oh, and I had like a foundational aha moment of this is who I am. And then honestly, just like 4 months ago, I had another significant, like I've had several of just like, yeah, I'm the guy that I love comics. So like, I'm not going to hide it. And I'm going to talk about pro wrestling because I love pro wrestling. And so I've had those self-confidence things, but there was something that happened and I don't need to go into the details, but I had that like significant, no, I'm not going to apologize for this. This is who I am. And if you can't handle it, like, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm not going to change who I am to fit what you want me to be. And that, like, that thought shifted how I approach a lot of things. And I'm different because I had that, because now I know, like, oh, nope, that's a line for me. Like, I'm not going to cross that line. So I appreciate you sharing, even though it might be a little cheesy. Be yourself, because it's a continual process that, if you're anything like me, will continue to change and discover more as more things shake loose and peel off and fall away. And it only makes things better when you create. So, Michael, I appreciate you just hanging with me, man. Like, I don't, we went all over the spectrum. And honestly, those are my favorite conversations. So hang tight after the end. I got some logistics for you, but for everybody else, for hanging out, thanks for hanging out. Check out the episode description, notes, whatever, for links to The Secret Lives of Demon Hunters. You have 11 days left to back that book. Check it out on Kickstarter, share it with your friends, and there might be even a link to a Kickstarter for my comic Barricade Brigade in the description, so check that out too. But now it's time for the tagline. Go do what's good for you and make some art, because we are out of here. Thanks for being here. Bye.